Good evening. Welcome to the Castle of Spirits True Ghost Stories show or podcast. Which is it?
It's both. Right now it's a show, but on Monday it'll be a podcast.
That's right. We are doing our Saturday Fright Live on YouTube, our YouTube channel at Castle of Spirits. And on Monday morning, this will go out as a podcast to be listened to.
Whoa. Hang on. My phone wasn't muted. There we go.
She always does this. Every GD episode,
Hey.
she does this. I tell her beforehand, I muted my phone.
Well, my phone usually is... Just stop. Just keep going.
Usually when I drop a hint like that, that's what I intend. But anyway.
We're not talking about that anymore.
Oh, we're not?
Anyway, this is a podcast where we sometimes tell you ghost stories, but usually we just sit and bicker like we've been married for almost 25 years.
God, I can't believe that some people are married for longer than that. It stops after 25, right? Does it end?
Sure.
Do I get to renew the lease, or how does that work?
No, you can just move out.
Well, no. This place is mine. Actually, the first time we bought a house together was 2002, and it was just a couple of years after, or like 1 or 2 years after The Others with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And we got into the house and we were like whispering together.
This house is ours.
This house is ours. This house is ours. Of course, it turned out to be the bank's, but
right.
Either way.
Yeah. There was that. But, we're not talking about mortgages today. Did you know that?
No, we're not.
You don't have to, ingest the microphone. We're not talking about any of those things today. For today, we decided that what we would do was read you ghost stories.
Oh, hell, that's a change.
Mm-hmm. It really is. Yeah.
So these ghost stories, if you may wonder, come from the website that we were given custody of a couple of years ago, called castleofspirits.com. It was founded in 1997 by Rowena Gilbert, may she rest in peace, and passed on to Don Wilmshurst, who passed it on to us. He's still alive,
right.
though.
He is.
He's
thankfully.
Yeah, but he is in a better place. He moved back to Canada. So, and we're still trying to work out on it. He said that he would be willing to adopt us, but he's like younger than both of us, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't know how that works.
He's going to adopt some grandparents.
Yeah.
We also have a special
surprise. A first for the show.
I was thinking maybe we could do it at the end.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We got a surprise for you at the end.
A surprise at the end.
We have, I wanted to do a little something because there was something I forgot to mention about 8 weeks ago. And I want to mention it now. Do you want to play a really quick lightning round of paranormal Would You Rather?
Yes.
All right, here we go. This was suggested by Jen Fairweather 2 months ago through Spotify. And her suggestion is, and I'm asking you, Jane.
Okay.
Would you rather have to work overnight in a funeral home or be the guard of a historic cemetery?
Ooh. So that's a really hard one for me to answer because they both sound pretty legit. So I would have to ask a question. What exactly is my job at the funeral home? Because if it's if it involves gross things, it's a hard no. But if it's like security or maintenance, cleaning, things like that, yes.
Well, she didn't specify.
Okay, so you specify for me.
But I'm thinking that since the one option is to be a guard of a historic cemetery or work overnight in a funeral home, I would imagine that would be intake. If somebody comes in the middle of the night and says, if there's a body that comes in, you got to take. You're not the coroner or anything.
Okay, as long as I don't have to don the elbow length gloves. Yeah. Then that's good.
What would you rather do?
Oh man.
I'll tell you what I would.
Can't it be both? My brother said. I mean, it could be like the funeral home near here has a cemetery.
Or the
right. He's right. I could do both.
Morningside Cemetery and funeral parlor. In Phantasm.
I'll just work security for both of them.
Well, I don't want to work any more than I have to because I'm not any younger than
Yeah,
I
but they
was
say
yesterday.
if you love what you do.
Eh, I, if you love what you do and I got to do what I loved, I'd probably sleep all
Okay.
day.
So Vince is lazy, but I'll take 2 jobs. Thank you.
Then you do it and I'll just stay home and watch TV.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick between the two, I would rather work overnight in the funeral home because
Yeah.
it's an inside job. And what if you're in a historic cemetery and it like snows or rains or something and you have to be outside? So
Oh boy. Okay.
that
So
was
practical.
fun. Thanks, Jen Fairweather, for
Yeah.
suggesting that. Sorry it took so long. I'm just a bonehead.
It's
You
true.
can actually see the bone if you look close enough.
But yeah, if you guys have any other would you rathers, paranormal would you rathers, we are open to it. We love paranormal would you rather.
Yeah.
And on that note, how about we read the fine folks a story? Why don't you go first?
Hey, I've got a great idea. Why don't I read a scary story?
I was hoping you would suggest that.
We used to do this back in the old days, We'd go to castleofspirits.com. We were just fans of the website, right? And we'd go and we were too poor to afford cable TV. And so, but we have
We
to have
would
internet.
just scare the crap out of each other all
So
night
we would
long.
entertain ourselves this way when Art Bell wasn't on, I guess.
Okay, I'm settling in for a good listen.
This is a story that was submitted to the website in May of 2006. A couple of few years ago.
If it's one of the stories I picked again, like last week.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It was submitted by John Smith in London. And this is called Dame Creswyke. The Manor House Hotel in the beautiful village of Moreton in Marsh in Cotswolds has a long and sometimes tragic history, and it did not become a hotel until recently. Its occupants include King George VI, who stayed there during World War II. The hotel is lovely. It's an old English building and was once owned by the Creswyke family, who were extremely wealthy landowners. Dame Creswyke was horribly murdered in the manor house, or one of the buildings attached. The information is not exact. The Creswykes came to an end in 1752 when the house was sold off to a Benjamin Busby, or Benjamin Bisbee, who bought the property at a knockdown price due to rumors that it was haunted by the late Dame Creswyke. There have been many apparitions of Dame Creswyke, and in particular, Room 8, the appropriately named Dame Creswyke Suite. It appears to have the most paranormal activity. There has been poltergeist activity and unexplained occurrences. The most memorable sighting was in 1987 when Dame Creswyke materialized close to the hotel front. My parents recently stayed at this hotel. Not knowing its paranormal history, they thought nothing of it when they arrived. They told me that they had stayed in the haunted room 8, but did not mention feeling uncomfortable. In fact, they said it was warm and cozy. However, after returning from a trip out, they went to their room and found that the bed had been completely rearranged. Neither of them had touched it, and room service had not been in, as they would have changed towels and turned down the bed for them. Putting it out of their minds, my parents got into bed that evening and went to sleep. However, their sleep was to be interrupted by ghostly footsteps pacing the hallway up and down. My mother said she was rather shaken by this and woke my father, who then went to take a look. He returned to bed and said he could see no one out there and that it was probably nothing to worry about. Returning to sleep, they were awoken again, this time by a thumping sound coming from inside the room. The large wooden wardrobe rattled and shook. My mother was now getting quite upset and said that she did not want to stay in the hotel a second longer. They got dressed and went out to the car where they slept the rest of the night. The next morning, my father asked one of the maids to collect their things, and they left to come back home. Make of it what you will, but it appears that Dame Creswyke does not want to leave her residence just yet. And that was Dame Creswyke by John Smith in London in May of 2006.
Excellent.
A classic haunted hotel story. I paused, like I had a real pregnant pause there at the
King
beginning.
George.
Yeah, because the King George thing, I said, wait, I read this story last week.
No.
But there was who was Queen Elizabeth, the recent Queen Elizabeth's
Yeah,
father.
it was George.
Yeah, I read a story last week where where she had stayed in a hotel, and she went in as a princess, and she came out as the queen because he died while she was there. So I got confused for a second. I thought I'd read this before, but hey, man, that's a really interesting story.
That's an enviable experience.
I know, man. We stayed at places that have been reputed to be haunted, and we were only really haunted by the living.
I don't know.
Which are scarier.
I don't know. In the Queen Mary was creepy. I'm just gonna say.
Well,
and when we were down,
we did the ghost tour.
Yeah, and when we were down in the bow of the ship at like the lowest level that you can go.
Yeah.
Like all the way down to the bottom, and we heard that baby crying, and we were like 4 stories or something like that below the rooms, and it was like 2:00 in the morning or something.
I don't know if it was that late, but
Yeah, we didn't get done with the tours until 3 a.m. I remember that.
Wow, we used to party hard.
We did.
We used to go so hard.
We used to go real hard, and we heard that baby crying, and everybody in the room with us heard it.
I heard it too, and you're in a big giant ship, and you're literally underwater, and it could have been something squeaking, some water stuff, water squeaks.
It was pretty clearly a baby crying. It was a human baby for sure.
Oh, it could have been a fox.
A fox under the water in the Pacific Ocean.
In Long Beach.
In Long Beach, California. Yeah. I don't think that's a thing that happens.
Could have been a gunshot. No.
A gunshot?
All right, I'm just reaching for things now because I like to put my Scully on sometimes.
I hate it when he does that.
Yeah, because I don't look very good when I do it. Not like she does. But yeah, that was a really cool experience. But yeah, we didn't experience anything in the bedroom in our little suite.
The little cabin,
which was the size of a closet.
They are very, very small.
Like
even the bathtub was like half size.
Wasn't it like $180 for the night or something?
It was. No, I think it was like $300.
But I'd love to tell a story about how we went to dinner before all this stuff. We went to dinner at the Queen Mary restaurant because, like hell, we're going to go checking out Long Beach, right?
Right.
Because I've been there before. I was there back in the 90s, and it was not a place I wanted to be. And I saw Curtis Armstrong. He was eating at the restaurant.
Like a kitty corner to us.
I'm not even going to tell you who he is. Look him up.
Anyway.
Booger from Revenge of the Nerds.
Wow,
okay?
I thought you said you weren't going to tell anybody.
But I was like watching him, hoping that he would go to the bathroom. Anyway, because I was going to follow him in there and tell him.
And I told him, do not be a creeper. Leave the man
But he
alone.
wouldn't do it. So.
Anyway,
that's an old story.
And it's not about ghosts. So what are you doing? You're hijacking.
I'm jacking high, guys, and I'm not going to do it anymore.
All right.
Do you have a story to tell us?
This story is called The Ghosts of Lesnes House. And if I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. And this was submitted by Carol Brooks in Florida, USA in October of 2012. When I was a young child, I lived in a very large old house in Abbey Wood, a suburb of London, England. I was born in the UK and lived there until I was 6, when we emigrated to Canada. The house we lived in was on the grounds of an old ruined abbey, Lesnes Abbey, which was torn down by orders of King Henry VIII during the dissolution of the monasteries in the 16th century. One night, when I was about 2 or 3 years old, my parents went out to a party and left me in the care of a babysitter. When they returned after midnight, I was in the sitter's lap by the big fireplace. My mother asked why I wasn't in bed, and the sitter told her she had heard me screaming, and she ran upstairs to find me hysterical and pointing to the foot of the bed. There was nothing there that she could see, but I kept screaming, so she took me downstairs. The next morning, my mother asked me what had frightened me, and I told her there was a lady there by my bed. Attempting to reassure me, my mother said, "She was a nice lady, wasn't she?" And I said, "No, she was nasty." My mother asked, "What did she look like?" And I answered, "She looked dead." At this point, Mother got chills down her back because she had never heard me use the word dead and was quite sure that I was not familiar with the concept of death. She decided to consult a spirit expert. I refused to go back in the room where I had seen the apparition, and other weird things had happened in that house as well. For example, my father had a story about the evening a colleague of his, a doctor, was visiting, and a cupboard opened by itself with a creak. My dad's friend said, "Shut that door," and slowly the door closed with another creaking sound. My father said it really gave him a creepy feeling. My mother contacted a spiritual medium recommended to her by one of the neighbors, who told her that our house was quite notorious for being haunted. The medium's name was Ina Twig. She was quite a well-known spiritualist in London at the time. The late had moved on. I don't know what that means. She wrote at least 2 books about her experiences. In one of her books, Ina Twig, Medium, she writes about living in Lesnes house and about the ghosts who lived there. She came to visit, and after looking around our house, she told my mother that she could feel the presence of 2 spirits there. One was a kindly old gentleman who had once lived there and liked to play tricks. That was probably the spirit who made the cupboard open and close, to the discomfort of my father. The other spirit was a very sad and loved... Oh, sorry, I misread this sentence. The other spirit was very sad and loved Lesnes house. Perhaps this was the lady I had seen in my room. She was definitely dead, and maybe her tragic demeanor was what had scared me so much and caused me to label her as nasty, my vocabulary not being sufficient to find a more suitable description. Anyway, the experience frightened me so much that I would not stay in a room alone until I was 10 years old. One of my parents had to sit with me every night until I fell asleep. Lately, I have thought a lot about my experience. I'm trying to find out more about the house and where it occurred, and maybe discover who was the apparition that I saw. So thank you to Carol Brooks in Florida, USA, for submitting The Ghosts of Lesnes House in October of 2012. What do you got to say about yourself, Vince?
I think it was the part that really gave me the chills was she looks dead.
Yeah, like a little kid, like 2-3 years old. Like the concept of death or what it looks like to be dead is foreign to a child of that age, I think. And so for them to, I mean, clearly she might have heard it somewhere. I don't know. It's a weird experience. And for a little kid to say something like that out of the blue, I think that just feels super out of place in the world. And to me, it feels like it lends credence to the story.
Yeah, I think so too. What's really creepy is that you haven't heard yet what we have planned.
No, I haven't.
It's coming up, but
Yep.
it's kind of similar to that, to what you were just talking about.
That's interesting.
And we always have these. I mean, for a couple of people who just come with a mic to the microphone with like a couple of stories that we found on the website of 4,700 stories.
Like 10 minutes before we went on air.
Not true.
I did.
I did my research.
I didn't.
We sure do sometimes have stories that really sort of, what's the word?
There's like a theme or an overlap, and
Yeah.
you have the
King
England and the King Henry or King George,
King
and I
George.
had King Henry and England and all that too. So
yeah, and then we have there's an overlap in the stories that are happening here as well. And I mean, I don't believe in predestination necessarily. But sometimes it's difficult not to believe that there is a certain push and a pull to the order of almost unimportant, minute things, you know?
well, I mean, it I think everything is energy, and everything is guided by energy. And who's to say that some little energy doesn't make things coincide or create,
Like,
quote unquote, coincidences.
like I want the show to be good. And I'm like, oh, I want to find some good stories because I want it to be a really good show. And then just that sort of energy maybe makes something coalesce. I used to have this really, I came up with a really weird off the wall theory one time about that, what you're talking about. Do you remember when, thankfully, and somebody knock on wood real quick, let me say it
Sorry,
first.
guys.
We don't have to go to the vet a lot with our current dog.
You had to
Freya.
say it, didn't you?
Everybody knock on wood, man. Because
Do it for Freya.
we've had dogs in the past who were, they got on a first name basis with vets. And, Freya's not one of those. But we have had dogs in the past who I've wanted to make a standing appointment every week because there's nothing more stressful than your dog getting really sick and not having an appointment to get in. And the alternative of taking them to an emergency clinic where they don't know anybody, you don't know them, is terrifying. So
Okay.
I had this theory where I said, my fear, our collective fear, yours and my
Yes.
fear of getting stranded on a Friday night with the inability to even call our vet until Monday morning.
Oh,
if
yeah.
the dog gets really sick, and dogs can get really bad really quickly if they get dehydrated and all that stuff.
Our dogs always got sick on the weekends.
Our dogs ended up getting sick on Friday night. If it was a long weekend, they would get, if it was like, if it happened to be that Friday was a holiday or something,
Yeah.
they would get sick on a Thursday night. And I was convinced at some point that our worry, the energy, the negative psychic energy of our collective worry manifested in making them sick.
Yeah.
And sort of making this horrible, undesirable thing happen.
Yeah. Mo in chat just said it's quantum physics entanglement.
Yeah?
That's, yeah.
I want to hear more about this. I mean,
pretty good.
we know Michio Kaku, not personally.
Personally, he came over for dinner last night.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a little bit about, I've heard people talk about quantum physics. That's the extent of it. I don't know anything about quantum physics. I can hardly, balance my checkbook. Do people still do that? Do they balance their checkbooks?
All right.
I never tried. Anyway, but that is something I guess to look into. But it was just a weird theory that I had, and I wanted to share it with everybody.
Yeah. I like that.
If anybody out there has had similar thoughts, please reach out and let us know. I really would like to know that I was not just crazy in that moment and trying to figure out what the problem was and why our animals kept getting sick on Fridays, because I didn't want to believe that maybe we had been cursed somehow, or that,
Yeah, let's not go back into curses
No.
today.
No.
It seems like we shook that.
Yeah.
But yeah. What about a second story? Do you have one of those?
I wanted to tell the audience that we saw The Bride.
Oh, yeah. We did. We went and saw The Bride on Thursday.
It's The Bride with an exclamation point. Written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Starring Jesse Buckley and
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. I don't know why.
Christian Bale as
Brain
Frank.
farted his name. Yeah. It was so good. So beautifully done. Just, I can't wait to see it again. I loved it. This isn't an ad. We just went and saw the movie because
Yeah, we're not good at doing movie reviews or anything like that. But if you're interested in seeing a movie that that pays homage to pretty much all of the great Frankenstein movies, we're not going to say The Thing.
I am going to say The Thing.
What The Thing?
There were some real good references to Young Frankenstein, and it just made my little heart sing. That said, it is nothing like Young Frankenstein. It's pretty graphic. It's not a family film.
Yeah, it was.
sure.
It had callbacks to, obviously it's Frankenstein, so it had callbacks to. But what I thought was interesting is that it did have a callback to Young Frankenstein, and not in a really outright comedic way. But that's
No.
because Young Frankenstein is considered, in my book, and I think among a lot of people, to be one of the greatest Frankenstein movies ever made.
Yeah.
Forget that it's a spoof.
Yeah.
Because the parts of the movie that really work are the non-funny parts, the serious parts. Because Gene Wilder was also a really gifted dramatic actor, and yeah, the cast was just filled with fantastic actors and people who really knew how to act their way out of a paper bag if they had to.
Well, and who knew that Jake Gyllenhaal could cut a rug, man?
That's right. Oh, you gave away the
Sorry. No,
that he's
his
in the
name
movie.
is in the credits and everything. It's
Anyway,
not a surprise.
go see it.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. And if you didn't like it, let us know and we'll give you your money back.
If you don't like it, don't talk to me.
If you don't like it, there's no hope for you.
We are no longer friends.
But
Just
I mean, if
kidding.
you're into the whole, like, fight the patriarchy, feminism type thing, you'll like this movie.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. So yeah. Yes, I was going to slap my hands together and
Don't slap your hands, you'll break
that's-
another finger.
that's not a good idea. I lost my phone. Remember last week I said I lost my glasses and they were on my face?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
He
funny.
was looking for his glasses while they were on his face.
That was pretty good.
He's old.
What?
All right, read a story.
All right. And again, this is one that I thought we had read, but I came across it and we had not read it.
Okay.
This was submitted anonymously by somebody in the United States in February
No.
in February of 2003. This is called The Girl in the Polka-Dot Dress. This incident happened about 5 years ago. I was sitting on my swing outside my house, enjoying the nice spring day, when I saw a little girl, maybe about the age of 6, standing next to me. She was wearing a yellow dress with red polka dots, and she had short blonde hair. I said, "Hi, are you new in the neighborhood?" She didn't answer. She just looked at me, and then she ran away. I didn't tell my mom about it because she wouldn't believe me. For the next week, I saw her on and off. I asked her what her name was, but she never answered. After a week of seeing her, I finally told my mom. When I described her, my mom's eyes flew open. She whispered to herself that it was impossible. I asked her what she meant, and she said to come with her to the attic. Once up there, she pulled out an old photo album and showed me a picture. It was the girl that I kept seeing. My mother said, "That was your aunt. She died when she was 7. She was buried in that dress. After that, I never saw the little girl in the polka dot dress again. And that was The Girl in the Polka Dot Dress, submitted in February of 2003. Give me the chills.
That did, it did. It gave me the chills. I shuddered a couple of times.
I saw you. I saw you shudder. I saw her.
And part of the reason why is my mom is moving, and so I was over at her house today, and it was like something in a movie where I look over in the corner. We're in the crawl space under her house, and I look over in the corner, and this is completely true.
Now, hang on. You got to give people a better image, because you're saying we're in the crawl space. And
Yeah.
Me, with my experience in this old house, I'm thinking that you're both on your bellies. You're crawling around.
Well,
you're like,
no,
throw the
we're
light over here.
sitting on little creeper carts with our heads bowed so we don't bang our heads on the ceiling.
But it's clean
tight,
down there. You're not dueling spiders or anything.
But it's tight.
Okay.
And I look over against the wall, and I swear to you, there is this trunk. It looks like a pirate treasure chest. It's old. Like, it's not a recreation. It's got the metal bands with the rivets. It's wood. It was like tricky to figure out how to open it. It was legit. And we open it. She thought there was some books in there. There were a couple books in there, but they were not the books she thought.
Did it have a big giant lock that with a key that was like 6 inches long?
No, it didn't have that.
Oh.
But there were like photo albums in there. And like these photo albums went back into the 1800s, some of them. And there were all these photos of like family and extended family and people we have no idea who they were. There were no names on the photos. And but a lot of it was family, and it, that just kind of reminded me of it. I thought, wouldn't that be creepy because there were a bunch of cute little kids in little dresses and stuff. And, if I saw one of them kids, I'd be like, yo, you were in the photo album in the pirate treasure chest trunk. That's hard to say. Pirate treasure chest trunk.
It's hard to listen to you say it too.
Oh, well, I'll stop then.
No, but especially if they're in there with you, if you see them in the crawl space, that's not a good thing.
But yeah, that was a really good story. When she said it led me up to the attic, I was like, yeah, girl, the attic is where there's good stuff. Ghosts and other creepy things.
I'm fascinated by old photographs.
Well, I'll have to show you that trunk.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I bought that that big, giant class photo.
Yeah.
From a secondhand store, and it was from a school in Illinois, I think. Mm-hmm. And it was not the class of 1904, but it was like 6th grade graduation in 1904.
Yeah.
And it had the date June something. Mm-hmm. And on the 100th anniversary, you and I had a little private. We
toasted a little wine.
Private celebration. And we've always been weird like that, guys.
Yeah. We don't know these people, but it hung in our house for years.
And I still have it. And
yeah.
I want to hang it up
we
again.
We can hang it back up.
But I've always been fascinated. But, you look at the little children in these photographs and you're like, they're dead. Whether they died in World War I.
because it was 100 years by then.
Or whether they lived long lives.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer there. And I saw one time, there's a photograph of my great-grandmother's family when she was a child.
I know what photo you're talking about, yeah.
Her dad looked like John Wilkes Booth or something, but not that good looking.
And much, much older.
Yeah, and they didn't look like they were dirt poor like my grandmother was, but they looked, they had like a plantation look to it, Yeah. They didn't have any like slaves or anything. This was like, I don't know, probably the late 1800s. So,
but they seriously, they kind of, not They kind of looked like, don't.
They looked a little clanny.
No, they kind of reminded me a little bit the look like the guy from Poltergeist 2.
Christ, he wasn't that old. This guy looked like he was like 35 years old.
God is in.
I look more like him. You're gonna die in there.
That is the most, that guy in Poltergeist 2 is the most terrifying character in any horror movie. And I will die on that hill. That movie sucks, but that guy, terrifying. Worth watching that movie just to see him.
Anyway, back to my experience with my photographs.
Sorry.
I don't know. It was just a trip to look at this person, this guy, and this woman, who I am directly descended from, on my mom's side. And I mean, they were just they were just a couple of generations, separated, and they're complete strangers to me.
Yeah,
I would never, and he didn't even look like somebody I'd like to hang out with. They were in the Deep South, Not that I don't want to hang out with people in Deep South, but they, like I said, they had this, they kind of a bit of a clanny look. He wasn't wearing a hood or anything, but
oh boy,
for all I know, he was like the character in Roots, played by Brad. God help me. Oh, I can't think of his name. The guy that was in Midnight Express. Anyway, he was a good guy in Roots. An abolitionist. So anyway, I digress. And I think about that sometimes because, I'm in a lot of photographs too. We don't have any kids.
No.
I don't have any kids from other relationships or anything like that. And, one day, my nephew's great-grandchildren are going to see a picture of me, or rather going to see a picture of him and some old guy next to him. They're going to go, who the hell was that guy?
I have to tell you something.
And I'm going to be a complete stranger, even though I was a big part of that kid's life.
Yeah.
And that it's kind of poetic and scary at the same time.
Well, it's weird, and I think it's it's just a very human experience. But I have to read you this. Felix in chat. Whoops, sorry. Felix in chat says, that reminds me of a creepy photo my mom found of her family member from the early 1900s. It's a whole extended family, but one girl is looking in the opposite direction of everyone else. And it turned out she was already dead, and they copied and pasted an earlier photo of her into the portrait.
Dude, that's like what do you call it? The photo doctoring thing that they do these days. What's it called?
Yeah, Photoshop.
Photoshop, thank you. It's like Photoshop back in the old days, the original Photoshop. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would love to see that picture.
I know.
Dude, if you
Felix, if you have access to it, we would love to see that. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah. Fascinated by the post-mortem photos that they used to take of people.
The Victorian.
Yeah.
The death photos. This cat is just going to...
Yeah, Mr. Moon, for those listening, Mr. Moon has...
You might be able to hear him purring.
Nestled himself onto Jane's chest, and he's probably banging the microphone. So if you're hearing bumping
he's not.
sounds,
I'm watching
it's legitimate. It's organic sounds. So there's no AI involved in the creation of this here show.
Yeah.
It's all bumps and bruises and warts and farts and all kinds of stuff.
Wow, he said fart on the air.
Yep.
Okay, so I think this is my turn, right? Get your...
I thought you read your stories already.
No, I read one story.
Oh, okay. Hurry up and read your second one so we can...
Hurry up. You're the one who's taking up all the time, and
we have
I
something
have to hurry
special,
up.
guys, coming up.
Now I have cat hair all over my face. All right. This story is called Mark Twain Elementary Auditorium, and it was submitted by Tom in USA, June of 2006. This happened to me when I was a second grader at Mark Twain Elementary School in Oak Cliff, really almost a part of Dallas, Texas. The school in 1969 still had a new feel to it and was considered upscale as far as elementary schools of that era went. It had an auditorium with a formal stage and lighting, a film room, a first grade wing with restrooms in every classroom, an attached gym with a wood basketball court floor, along with locker rooms and showers, a big library, science rooms, a special art room, and many other features most grade schools of that time simply did not have. That year, I was fortunate enough to be picked up to be in the PTA talent show for the school. Only 3 from my grade were chosen. My act was a Western song and involved the use of toy prop guns, which at that time were not forbidden in schools. We rehearsed every day for 2 weeks for this show. Often the rehearsals started in the early evening, and we were allowed access into the auditorium through its side door, so we could not wander through the school itself. In that era, parents were not so frightened of kidnappings or other sinister events, so I was allowed to stay by myself at the school during these rehearsals, and my parents would pick me up around 8 when we were through. One night, however, they got confused as to which one was picking me up, so no one came for me. All the other kids' parents picked them up, but I could only sit by the door and wait. Even the teacher and director locked the door and drove off in her car, leaving me sitting alone on the door's stoop. I had been waiting there for what seemed an eternity to me when I heard the door open and swing slightly ajar. No one seemed to have done this, so I assumed it must not have been shut fully. I stood up and opened it up, as I somehow felt safer to be within the building than on the concrete steps. When I opened the door, the auditorium was pitch black, as all the lights had been turned off, and the blackout curtains on the windows were closed. I did not know where the light controls were, so I just sat down inside the doorway in the light coming from the outside security fixture. While I sat there, I became aware of a noise coming from the back of the auditorium where the doors to the hallway lobby were. It was a rhythmic, clicking kind of sound, like what comes from a janitor's industrial dust mop when it's being pushed back and forth over the floor. I looked in the direction of the sound, but I couldn't see anything. The sound kept coming closer to me, however, as if whatever was causing it was slowly making its way down the aisle to the stage area where the side door was. For some reason, I was not fearful of what might be causing the sound, so I stood up and looked into the dark as hard as I could. I saw nothing for a few moments, but then I began to make out the figure of a woman walking with a cane. She was very thin and was stooped over with a humpback. She looked to be horribly old, almost ancient, and was wearing a dark gray wool shawl over her shoulders and head like a loose cowl. She wore a long, loose, dark dress. She was looking right at me with a blank expression. Her eyes did not reflect light like most people's eyes do, and I could see the cheek and jawbones jutting out from under her wrinkled skin. It was now that I felt my heart start to race, but somehow I felt frozen in place as I watched her walk up to me. The woman stopped just about 12 feet from me and looked me straight in the eyes. Then she held a bony hand out to me and said in a scratchy voice, "Come with me, boy." I stood transfixed with her gaze, but I managed to shake my head back and forth. The left side of her mouth pulled up a little, as if in a partial snarl or sneer, and I could see yellow-gray, crooked teeth. She then started moving closer toward me as she said, "I know you. You will obey me." With that, the door suddenly swung to shut, but someone was watching over me that night, and the cap gun prop I was using in my act was lying in the doorway where I had left it. The gun stopped the door from shutting fully. The sudden motion of the door was all I needed to break my paralysis, and I threw myself at the door and was running out into the yard between the first grade wing and the cafeteria faster than I ever thought possible. I could hear the woman shrieking in rage behind me as I ran. When I got to the street, I turned and looked back. The woman was standing in the doorway with the most horrifyingly angry expression I have ever seen. Then the door slammed shut completely. I continued running all the way to my house. When I got home, I was crying hysterically. My mom was home and looked surprised that my father was not with me. I tried to tell her my story, but she believed I had imagined it all. She was upset and sorry for the mix-up with my father, but she chalked my experience up to the frightened imagination of a 7-year-old. My father did not buy the story either. The next day at school, the teacher-director handed me my prop gun. Its metal barrel was crimped and broken in half as if something had crushed it, and its plastic grip handle had melted impressions on it as if it had been tightly squeezed by very hot, bony fingers. She told me she had found it at the back of the auditorium by the lobby doors. I told her I must have left it behind that night and had no idea what happened to it. I found the other half of the barrel that afternoon in the bushes right by the stage door. I never allowed myself to be alone in that auditorium again. Everyone said my performance in the talent show was good, but I looked extremely nervous, which they attributed to simple stage fright. We moved away from Oak Cliff at the end of that year, and I never have been back inside that building. I shudder to imagine what would have happened had I not left my prop gun on that stoop. Thank you to Tom in USA for submitting Mark Twain Elementary Auditorium in June of 2006. And I gotta say, if anybody knows that school and you know of any other stories that have happened there, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, man, that was creepy.
That's
I was expecting
terrifying.
him to see Freddy Krueger again because of the janitor's mop sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just can't get over the fact that the teachers left him there.
Right. I know.
They don't even do that in horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, so son, listen to here, Tom. Let me give you a ride home.
Yeah.
Because your parents are apparently
Inattentive.
bad.
Yeah, schools
Yeah,
really
man.
are creepy. Mo in chat
Yeah.
said that. Oh, Felix said, I can probably get the photo.
Right on. You know where to send it, right?
Mm-hmm. castleofspirits.com/submit
But
or lounge.
If somebody goes to our website and wants to communicate with us, can they send us an attachment?
Through the lounge, yeah, you can send. I don't know. I'll have to look.
Well,
Through submit, you can. You can submit photos, EVPs, videos, and text stories.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I should have written this down also because we did get a couple of comments on Spotify. I went through and looked. We have some comments on there, and there are people saying, "Yeah, I think you guys should bring back the photos and stuff like that, the photo galleries."
Yeah.
But again,
It's just hard. Like I said before, it's just hard. I would love to bring back the photo gallery. But when the photo gallery was made originally,
yeah,
it was... I just feel like these days I would be chasing around two things. Orb photos, which, not to burst anyone's orb. See what I did? Thanks for laughing. But I personally have way too much experience doing photography in ghost hunting situations, and I don't believe that orbs are anything except dust, bugs, rain, etc. So I would be wading through orb photos And honestly, probably a lot of AI garbage at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have access to the original photos that were on the website. You know, over the years and every time the website changed hands or was rebuilt, the photos have kind of disappeared. I mean, I guess we could look at the Wayback Machine and see if we can
maybe
pull a
Maybe we
few
can do
of
that.
them and just try and put some of the OG photos back on the website. But
And Felix, by the way, our email address is cosghostkeepers@gmail.com.
mm-hmm.
As in Castle of Spirits Ghost Keepers, cosghostkeepers@gmail.com. You could just send it that way too, and we'll
Yeah.
get it. It'd just be really cool to see it,
Yeah.
the photograph. But yeah, and I also while you were reading, I got a comment from Meta saying that my sparkle jacket is really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
These are not sparkles; these are dog hairs.
It's tweed.
But thank you anyway, though. I do have sparkle on my head, though. My forehead sparkles like a flashlight in the dark. But you know that if you're listening to the show, you're going to have to watch the show to see for yourself. Anyway,
Yeah.
if we have nothing else to discuss, I'd like to bring on our very first guest that we've ever had. She's not here with us.
No.
She's not a ghost.
No.
Hopefully not for a long time. But we received a call at our phone number
Finally.
at the Castle of Spirits ghost line with somebody wanting to share their story.
Mm-hmm.
And she submitted it a couple of months ago. It took me a long time to get around to editing it and putting it together. But we've done that now, and we would like to play that to you and have you listen to that. So let's pretend that we're... You have it ready?
Yeah.
I'll say, first time caller line, you're on the air. Hi. And this is...
This is a story by Rian in Florida.
and she is going to share her story.
She's going to scare us. Here
and
we
you
go.
haven't heard this yet.
I haven't heard this.
Okay, so
okay,
check it
here
out,
we go.
guys.
Hi, my name is Rian. The story I wanted to share takes place when my grandma was actually actively dying. And my nephew was 2.5 at this time, maybe 3. We're at my grandma's house, and both me and my sister, my mom, were helping take care of my grandma. Little background at the time, my mom is a hospice nurse. I was in nursing school, so we were taking care of her. And my nephew kept coming into the room, and he would go, "Mommy, who are all the kids?" And we're like, "Riker, go play. Go in the other room. There's no other kids." And we just didn't think about it. He came in 3 or 4 times, and he'd ask a different one of us and be like, "Who are these kids? Why won't they play with me? Who are these kids?" And we just kept brushing him off and brushing him off. Fast forward a few hours later, my sister goes to try and find my nephew. She hears him talking to somebody. So my sister kind of sneaks down the hallway and can see that there's nobody there. He goes, "But you can't take my hammer." And there was a pause. And he goes, "But I will miss her." There's another pause. "But Derek, I don't want you to take her." And there's another pause. And Riker says, "You promise you'll take care of her?" And another pause. He says, "Okay, only if you take care of her." Then my sister walked into the room and was like, "Riker, who are you talking to, buddy?" And he goes, "Derek, my cousin Derek." Little backstory. My aunt and uncle had lost a baby named Derek probably 25 years earlier. So that's just like chills every time I say that part. Then my grandma passes that night, and the next day or the day after, he's walking around the house and he's just like throwing his hands out and he's going, "Ah." And my sister asks him, "Riker, what is the matter, buddy?" And he goes, "But Mom, where are the kids? Where are all the kids? Where did they go?" And she was like, what do you mean? He goes, Mommy, there were so many kids here. Where did the kids go? Fast forward a couple of hours, he was playing in my grandma and grandpa's bedroom, and that was where my grandma had died. And he comes running out to my sister, and he goes, Mom, where's the lady? And she goes, what lady? And he goes, you know, the lady. And he starts wringing his hands. And he goes, the lady that stood by Hannah while she was sick. Where'd the lady go? My sister is like, buddy, I don't know. Maybe she went back to heaven with Hannah. I don't know what to tell you. And he was like, so frustrated with my sister. What is wrong with you? Why don't you know? Well, at this point, my sister is like, I don't know what's happening. And she calls my mom, and my mom goes, oh my goodness, that sounds like my granny. So it would be my grandma who died's mom. She goes, she was always a hand wringer. Like, she would just wring her hands and she'd be nervous. So my mom told my sister, give him a little bit and then pull out one of grandma's old albums, like photo albums, and go through the pictures with it. So fast forward a couple of hours, they start flipping through the pictures, and they get about a third of the way through the pictures, and then he goes, stop, and slams his hand on the book. And he goes, Mom, that's the lady, and points at my great-grandma and says, that's the lady who stood by Hannah while she was sick. The fun part about this is while my grandma was dying, my grandma was terrified to die. And I was sitting there rubbing her legs one day, and I kept hearing in my head, tell her, just tell her. And I was like, what are you, I don't know who you are, don't know what's going on. And I started crying because it was just such a strong feeling. My mom looks at me and she sees that I'm crying, and she's like, what are you crying? Why are you crying? What's going on? And I was like, I don't know where it came from. It just, all I remember is telling my grandma these words, but from my mom's perspective, she said that I broke into a thick southern drawl, which is how my granny talked, and said, baby girl, don't be scared. It's beautiful here. We've got a place all set up for you. Then I just burst into tears. My mom burst into tears, and my mom leans over to my grandma, and she goes, Mom, are you scared now? My grandma says, not a bit. Those were the last words that she said. She was. So it was very validating to me to know that my little nephew also saw my granny. They were two separate experiences, but my mom, being a hospice nurse, always talks about how there's so many experiences that she's had with people on the other side, or that the veil is very thin when people are dying. So I thoroughly believe that these experiences are true.
Oh,
Right?
wow. Rian, thank you. That was amazing. And it was really moving, especially after having looked at all of the family photos and memorabilia today, and seeing photos of like my great grandparents and, my grandma, and
Yeah, I'm the kind of person who has a hard time believing in life after death, because to me, the life after death ideas that we have seem very, of the human mind, of the human experience, only of the human experience. What is somebody from a distant planet? And we know there's life on other planets. I mean, we don't know, but the odds are.
We know that, but I mean, we don't know, but we know it.
We know, but we don't. What do they experience when there's death there? What kind of paranormal activity? Is there paranormal activity? Is there religion? All that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
And so it's easy for me to discount it and say, well, I just don't know what the answer is, and maybe I'll find out one day, or maybe I won't. Maybe just sudden lights out and that's it.
I think that,
But
no, I think that things like that happen, and I think that they can happen. I think that our perception of what it's like, you know, after you die is like you said, it's very small. It's on a human understanding. We just kind of think of it as like it's the same as this,
it's a place you go.
but
where
there's
people.
clouds everywhere, and everybody is carrying a harp and wearing white robes, and whatever.
I don't want to go there.
So, but I do think that these connections happen and that they're very real. Yeah, that was
But yeah, like I said, even
that was really incredible.
even though I don't believe in that, it's comforting to hear that because it makes me think that maybe there is something.
Well, I don't think you disbelieve in it. I just think you are, you're questioning. You're open to possibilities. You don't have your mind set on a single thing.
I have ideas of what I think the afterlife might be, which is different than what most people think. Maybe a lot of people think my way. I'm not going to share it with you tonight because that's just personal and it'd be boring too. But
yeah, I've heard it.
It's not the.
Just kidding.
Yeah, she gets to hear all this stuff. But I have my own ideas. But even those things I doubt. But I find comfort in them. So I think,
Yeah.
is it okay to is it okay to lie it to myself and say this is what's coming if it makes me feel better? Or would I rather know the truth? If I knew the truth that there's nothing coming, or that there's hell coming.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Would I want to know these things? I don't know.
Going back to Ryan's story, like her little nephew is seeing all these kids and talking to somebody who says they're going to take care of her, and seeing his grandma. Like, I don't think that a young child like that, he sounds like he was, did she say how old he was?
2.5 to 3.
Like, that is so young. That is so young. I don't believe that 2 to 3-year-olds have the capacity for that level of imagination.
Yeah.
That's something. I mean, pretending you're playing with someone or, chasing someone around who's not there. Like, yeah, but to see a whole group of people and to have a conversation with someone who's not there about a concept that they can't fully grasp.
Yeah.
The grandma dying and going into the afterlife. A 2.5 or 3-year-old doesn't understand that concept enough or have the imagination strong enough to be able to playtime that,
But you and I were having a conversation earlier today. It was a true crime conversation. I'm not going to tell you the details.
Yeah, because that's next week's episode. It was supposed to be today's, but
about they find the body here. We're given that fact, and we think, oh, we have an image in our heads of what the finding of the body here means without really knowing any details. So at the same time, I'm not saying that Ryan is lying about anything about this.
Of course not.
I'm
Ryan,
not.
if you're listening, please don't. No,
But,
that's...
however, is it possible that Riker may have been primed for this sort of thing by having heard the family speak about, when you die, you go to heaven. Maybe they have a shared sort of belief that he's heard them talking about, and maybe even my mother, grandma's mother was this type of person, and all this kind of thing, and so we don't know because we're hearing the story of an event that occurred on a day. And then we don't know the whole full context of what their family life was like. And maybe he was already sort of, and maybe he was a very intelligent child who had a great imagination and was always talking about, writing stories about, friends that he knew that
at
weren't
2.5,
there.
3 years old.
Okay. Well, maybe writing stories, but maybe he became
We're going to good cop, bad cop this story. Okay. So the thing about, the family maybe talking about heaven and whatever. Sure, of course, the kid is probably exposed to things like that because we all are. We're all exposed to our family's belief system. But that still does not give a 2.5 to 3-year-old child the capacity for like wild imagination time that goes on for more than 24 hours. Like, that's not a thing. Sorry.
The only reason I say something like this is because, for example, in the Betty and Barney Hill UFO abduction story, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that about a week before they were abducted or had their experience, they saw a TV movie about that very thing, about aliens and things like that. And it terrified them both. And to the point where it got into their subconscious and it could have influenced their perception of the events that happened to them.
You're still talking about adults.
But
Adults who understand these concepts, or at least have a much better ability to think through the concepts, to rationalize, to just understand. A 2.5 to 3-year-old does not have that. And here's another hill I'm gonna die on this episode. I'm stamping it. Ghosts.
You're apparently going to die on a hill.
Yeah. But I stamped it. Ghosts. End of discussion.
It's like Siskel and Ebert or Mulder and Scully, except wait, am I Scully? I'm not nearly that hot. I've talked about it already once.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I just want to say I want to believe the story. I love the story. I'm so glad that Ryan shared it with us. And I'm not, again, I'm just being, I'm being the, I'm playing devil's advocate. Because when I heard the story, I was moved and I believed every word. But at the same time, I owe it to some of our listeners who are a little bit more skeptical to sort of speak up for them and say what they might say.
Well, we are
which
both
would be that.
Quite skeptical. And I think that that's healthy, not to just go, I believe everything I hear. But, yeah.
One thing I'd be interested in knowing, Ryan, is if, was this a long time ago? Is this kid still a kid? Is he an adult? Hell, text us and let us know. We've been texting with you back and forth.
Yeah, Ryan,
so,
feel free to text us any further information.
And we'll give the audience update. You don't have to do it right now, but we'll give the audience updates on that as we go on.
Yeah, and speaking of texting, we do have a phone number where you can call and leave messages like Ryan did. It's only got a 3-minute recording time, so when it starts, just like set a little timer, and then you are more than welcome to call back several times to get your story in. Ryan called, I don't remember how many files. 4 times. You're not going to bother anybody. We're not going to get irritated. Call back as many times as it takes to tell your story. You can text us a story if you want, if you really want to.
The telephone number is 801-436-7838. That's 801-436-7838. That's the wild card line. And west of the Rockies and east of the Rockies and all that stuff.
International callers.
International callers, first time caller line, and everybody. And also the afterlife line. So if you are in the afterlife now, just saying.
Hey man, we want to hear from you.
We really want to hear from you.
And if you missed the number because Vince was ranting and raving afterwards, just go to castleofspirits.com/contact. It's there.
Now, before you don't turn that music on.
Okay.
Let's not have the spooky music come on.
Okay.
Because this is a new thing that we're going to do on the show.
Oh.
Every time that we do this show, I have to fish through the video to find some sort of a cool snapshot. What do you call it?
A thumbnail. We need a good thumbnail.
And invariably, she's always smiling, and I'm looking like I'm contemplating murder. Mm-hmm. I've got my serial killer death mask on.
Yeah.
Or my resting serial killer face is what I call it.
Yeah.
So I think we should, in the final closing moments of this podcast, especially for those of you watching, we're going to do some things and pretend that we're having a really dynamic conversation. to make to fool people into watching us on YouTube. So
It's
anybody,
clickbait, yo.
yeah. So you guys, now take notes or let us know in the chat room what you want us to do. So we're gonna do it like this. Okay.
Okay, why don't you look excitable this time, because you're the one who always looks dour and I look excitable.
No, but you have to make a face too.
Okay,
So
I will.
I'm gonna go.
But nobody can see your face when you put your hand over your mouth.
Oh, okay. What do I
So
do?
just be like,
I'm a really bad actor, so you have to
he
tell
is
me.
a really bad actor, you guys.
Do I need my glasses on? Or
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just make
Okay.
your, yeah.
Should I take this ridiculous thing off
Vince,
my finger?
make a damn face before I punch you.
No, does that work?
Yeah, that was good.
Let's do it again. Hang on.
Okay.
Let's. I don't know how that works. Okay,
All right, one more time.
No, we got to keep going. We got to keep going.
Oh.
How about like okay, like we're fighting?
No.
No. Okay, that's not a good one.
How about this? Both of us.
We're covering our mouths.
Yeah.
Okay. Do your cover your mouth and I'll cover my eyes
Okay.
or my ears.
Okay, that was dumb. Okay, I think that's good enough.
Do you guys in the
No,
in
nobody's
chat have any-
responding because they don't care. And I can't say I blame them.
Thanks a lot,
And in
guys.
fact, what is that I hear coming down the hall? Why, gosh golly, it's the music for the ghosts.
I don't hear
Because that's because it's fading in.
Oh.
Yeah, they need to be fed. We've been like upending their daily ritual because we are
We're going through and upending ourselves, but
yeah, we're moving
more
the
on that.
castle.
The castle is moving.
Yeah.
So
It won't affect you in any way.
the cool thing about it is that's kind of why we're here, because this requires less setup where we're sitting right now. But we are planning on setting up a dedicated area of our new digs for a studio that we can just sit down at. Everything looks good. All I have to do is bring my sparkly jacket and
and your sparkling personality.
my sparkling poisonality.
And your sparkling head.
Yeah, which I think there's like one loose hair up here that you missed when you helped me shave my head. But yeah, thanks to everybody for tuning in and watching and listening, and we really want you to keep doing that. So if you have any suggestions, comments, criticisms,
Emotional
praise,
outbursts.
or emotional outbursts, reach out.
Yeah.
castleofspirits.com. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Castle of Spirits, also YouTube.
And you know what, guys? Please submit your stories. Just do it. Call us, text us, email us, submit a story, because we can't keep doing this if we run out of stories. So
Yeah,
the onus is on you to keep us going.
that's right.
Don't let us down. Don't let the ghosts down.
And
Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you like this show, you should tell a friend.
if you hate this podcast, tell 2 enemies.
That's right.